はい、皆さんこんにちは、ショーです。いきなりなんですけど、皆さん ALT ってわかります？アシスタントラングエッジティーチャーの略なんですけど、日本でね、小学校、中学校、高校とね、英語の授業を受けてると、その時だけね、外国人の先生って多分見たことあると思うんですよ。あれ誰この人みたいな。クリスティーン、ジョーダン、マイケルみたいな人いたと思うんですよ。僕のね、知り合いでオーストラリア人で、日本でね、もう 4,5 年住んでて ALT やってた方がいるんですよ。僕のご近所さんなんですけど、アパートの近所の方で、ダメ元でね、よかったら YouTube 見てくださいって言ったら、快くね、承諾していただいて、今回動画撮ることになったんですけど、今回はね、タイトルでもあるように、ALT の先生、ネイティブの英語の先生が、日本人の英語どう思ってるのか、日本教育についてどう思ってるのかについて聞いていきたいと思います。なのでね、この動画見ていただければ、日本で英語の勉強をしている方っていうのは、どういうことに気をつけていけばいいのかであったりとか、どんなことを勉強すればいいのかってところが分かると思います。英語をね、教えてた先生なんで、めちゃくちゃためになります。ぜひね、最後まで見ていただければと思います。それでは、早速、行ってきましょう。OK! Thank you for showing up my video.
Not at all, no problem.
Actually, we are neighbors.
Yes,
in
yes.
the same apartment we live in. In this video, I heard you used to live in Japan. So
That's
I
right.
would like to ask you why you live in Japan.
Sure.
Or how was your experience in Japan? Something like this question.
Of course.
Okay.
So when I was very young, I had a very strong obsession with Japan. I liked everything Japanese. I was interested in everything from Japan and so on. I studied Japanese in high school, but I was never very good at it. But I always had an interest in Asia.
Yeah.
So strangely, when I was a university student, I was studying education and English second language teaching and art. I became an art teacher and an English second language teacher.
I see.
And I did a year exchange program in Buffalo in New York.
Yeah.
And at that time I met students from all over the world in my university dormitory. And so I met some nice Japanese friends there.
Yeah.
And my interest in Asia and Japan grew even more.
Yeah.
So I came back to Australia and I graduated from my university.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I want to move abroad. But it was hard to get a job in Japan.
Yeah.
So I got a job in Korea and Taiwan first.
Okay.
And then finally I got the opportunity to apply for the Japanese JET program. I was accepted and I was placed in Ibaraki.
Ibaraki. So you cannot choose which city you wanna live.
You can put a request in.
Okay.
But because I was just really happy to get on the program, I didn't mind where I went.
Right. Yeah.
So I was fortunate to get Ibaraki.
Okay. Alright. How long did you stay there?
I stayed 3 years on the JET program in Ibaraki. First 2 years I was in a tiny town called Kyowamachi,
Kawamachi, okay.
which is on the Joban-sen line.
Yeah.
So it's not so far from Mito. From there I was in a junior high school.
Yeah.
But after that, I was placed in the senior high school system in Mito.
Oh,
so I was a year in the senior high school programs in Mito.
Yeah.
And while I was in Mito, I worked at four schools. My host school was my main school. I was there 2 days a week. It was one of the best schools in Ibaraki, an all-girls school.
Oh yeah.
And then the other schools were very different. One was kind of a last chance school for kids that had social problems and they didn't fit in with the school system.
Yeah.
So for example, teenage pregnancy and so I taught there 1 day a week and another low-level school and I think another all-girls school. But this is a long time ago. This was in 2005.
Okay.
Then I got the job in Tokyo as a teacher trainer.
To students.
Not teaching students as much, but if the teachers were sick, I went and taught in the school as well.
Okay.
So that was for a year and a half in Kodaira.
Oh, I see. Okay.
On the Seibu Shinjuku line.
So I forgot asking your name and
Yeah,
your
sure.
nationality, like where you're from.
So I'm Neil Witten and I'm 47 years old and I'm Australian. I grew up in Australia and what else? I'm very lucky I have a British passport too because my dad's from the UK.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, no worries.
Alright, so as you said, you have experience of teaching English to Japanese student and teacher as
Yes,
well?
yes.
I want to ask you, what is your impression of Japanese student in terms of English?
Sure.
Yeah.
At that time, Japanese students had quite low level of English. I think the education system was quite dull. It was quite boring. A lot of translating activities, a lot of teacher-led activities, and not much student interaction
Oh, I see.
with each other or
Yeah.
with the teacher.
Teacher.
I was kind of used as a tape recorder in Ibaraki.
Oh, okay.
So I got to say something, then
Yeah.
the students would repeat it, or the students would kind of find an answer in what I was saying. But I think it's changed dramatically because the students that I get in my Sydney school
Yeah.
now,
Okay.
the Japanese students that come for a month to do a study tour program,
Okay.
they study in the day and then they go sightseeing in the afternoon.
Oh.
Their English is great.
Yeah?
Yeah, their English is great and they're very communicative and they're very confident.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Japan's changed a lot. A lot of the kids that I meet now,
Yeah.
they've lived abroad before, or their mum used to work in China, or their dad used to work in Korea.
Yeah.
So they have a lot more international connections and experience.
I see.
And maybe they see English as more important.
Yeah.
When I was in Ibaraki, nobody wanted to learn English. No one thought English was useful.
Yeah.
Because it was a really farming area, farming community.
Yeah.
Nobody traveled. Nobody really wanted to travel. But I think I think Japan's changed so much since
Yeah.
then. Of course, Japan's always been connected with the world, but at that time, in Ibaraki anyway, I didn't see people being very interested in the world.
Yeah, I can imagine because when I was junior high school, it was like 10 years ago.
Yes,
I was studying by like tape record.
yes, yes.
Yeah, as you said, we have ALT.
Yes, assistant language teacher,
Yeah.
like I was on
Yeah.
the JET program.
Yeah, but he says something in English.
Yes.
And then we can just repeat them. So we cannot actually communicate with the ALT teacher.
Yes, yes. Just to pass a test, kind of.
Yeah, not fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess like the world's changed so much. I think social media's changed everything. I think Netflix has changed everything.
Yeah.
And travel's become cheaper and so on.
Yeah. So when you came to Japan, first impression about Japanese student is like they cannot speak English very well.
Yes, and extremely shy and not confident, and nobody wanted to volunteer their answer because they're nervous of being wrong.
Yeah.
Nervous of losing face in front of others.
Yeah.
Some teachers had great English,
Yeah.
some teachers didn't, English teachers.
Yeah.
So even the teachers were nervous to speak with the AET
I
sometimes.
see.
Yeah, I taught Japanese students that wanted to do the speech competitions
Or in English.
in English.
Okay.
So those kids had good English,
Yep.
but once again, they just learned what to say for the speech competition, and
Yeah.
of course the speech was perfect, but they didn't really they probably couldn't have a good conversation.
Oh, I
But
see.
they were taught how to do that speech very well.
Yeah.
And sadly, they didn't possibly have opportunities to speak in English.
Maybe they just remember.
They just remembered that
they-
speech
yeah.
beautifully. And of course, those kids were the top of the class. They had the best English.
Yeah. Okay. So, in your opinion, what part of English is very difficult for Japanese students?
I think pronunciation's not too bad. I mean, as you know, most of the sounds we have in English, you guys have in Japanese. It's
Yep.
just the TH sound you
Yeah.
don't have, and the
Yeah.
L and the R sound. But generally, pronunciation's not an issue. Well, as you know, grammar is quite tough because the sentence structure in Japan is opposite to the
Yeah.
English. What's difficult? I think generally just being confident and just trying. I think
Yeah.
culturally, Japanese people are quiet and shy and
Yeah.
don't want to give their opinions.
Yeah.
So maybe to learn a language you have to make mistakes. So I think trying not to worry about, is this going to be correct? I'm just going to say what, don't worry about making your sentences perfect. Just speak. I think I mean, most of the time we'll understand what you're trying to say. So I guess that's my advice. Just try. Just try, and no one's gonna laugh at you, and no one's gonna judge you if your English isn't great.
Yeah. Now I feel like I don't care about my English, like, even though I made a mistake.
Yes.
But when I was kids, like junior high school, high school student, I was very care about my English.
That's right.
Because if I made a mistake, someone judged my English.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
You made a mistake or something. That's why most Japanese students cannot speak in front of the many people.
That's right.
Yeah, they are afraid of making mistake.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes, I don't know how or if that's changed. So we have a lot of Japanese study tour students in like May, June.
Okay.
May, June. So they'll come soon, which, as you know, is Japanese summer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's when Japanese students have a school holiday.
Yeah.
They come here for 2 weeks or a month, and
it's kind of a short program.
That's right. It's a short-term program. I don't know. They weren't all from the same school. They were all from different schools from all over Japan.
Yep.
And they all came to Sydney for a month to do English in the morning and sightseeing in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And all of them, although they were all from different schools, they all had quite a good level of English, and they all had confidence.
Oh, I see.
So it was quite impressive.
Alright, next question.
Sure.
I want to ask you, like, you teach the Korean student Taiwanese?
Taiwanese and Chinese.
So Asian country mostly.
Yes.
So you know what difference, the typical English
Yes.
between Japan and other countries
Oh, like
in Asia?
the accent and
Yeah, accent or grammatical mistake. What is a typical mistake, or what is a typical country English?
Sure. Yes, like I think the most simple mistakes students make is with present simple.
Present simple.
Present simple.
Yeah.
Like I like, he likes.
Yeah.
This is a constant battle, a constant problem to change and correct. Especially with writing. For some reason they're constantly, even high-level kids, they're constantly making issues with present simple and past tenses. I'd say Japanese, maybe some pronunciation issues, as we said, with the TH and the L and the R sounds. Chinese sometimes have a thick accent as well. Koreans have often a thick accent, like a lot of don't stop, yes, like this, like this. I don't think I can copy the Chinese accent.
Me neither.
Yeah, so it's like that. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, we have strong grammar.
Yes, generally I think you guys have quite good grammar.
Good grammar.
Yeah.
I know why Japanese people can do grammar, because we studied a lot of grammar on writing, reading for taking exam.
That's right.
Of the university or high school.
Yes.
So that's why we can do it, but we cannot do listening English and speaking English.
Yes.
So we don't have any
practice.
Practice with like real foreigners.
Yes, that's
just
right.
Talking with a Japanese teacher.
Yes.
We can speak English, but we cannot be like native.
I think the Koreans start learning English from a very young age these days. Very young.
Yeah.
So I've come across some young Korean kids who have great English because they seem to start so young. And also they have such a strict system. Even to get a job in a bank in Korea, you have to pass an English test. Although you won't possibly ever see an English-speaking customer, you have to do an English test. So for so many professions in Korea, you have to do an English test. So there's so much emphasis put on English.
Okay, so next question.
Sure.
For native speaker, or in your like personal opinion,
Yes.
when you have conversation with foreigners, you think grammar or writing skill is more important than pronunciation or other factors?
I think vocabulary, knowing words. I mean, of course you can get your opinion across less vocabulary, but of course you can make yourself much clearer with more vocabulary. So you can talk about anything if you have a big vocabulary. Even with simple grammar, if you have a lot of vocabulary, you can make something sound very good. But saying that, I guess it's difficult to put your vocabulary in the right place if you don't have good grammar. So I guess in some ways you need both. You need decent grammar and a good vocabulary.
I see.
Pronunciation, yes, of course it's important, but unless your pronunciation's horrible,
Yeah.
I think many people will understand you.
Okay.
Saying that, I
Yeah.
guess maybe I'm different because I've been teaching for 25 years. I'm used to hearing different people's pronunciation and accent. So
Okay.
generally, I think I can understand nearly everyone. If you went to a countryside area in Australia and you were speaking with people that didn't speak to foreign people often,
Yeah.
maybe then
I see.
pronunciation would be more important.
Yeah. When you understand foreigners' English, you catch construction of sentence or pronunciation or the vocabulary. I don't know how you can understand because sometimes I cannot understand what foreigners said.
Yes,
but
yes.
I'm trying, but
Yes.
it's very hard. But how would you understand what they say?
I guess a lot of it's context as well. Like, for example, if you're in a cooking class,
Yeah.
probably they're going to be talking about cooking.
Yeah. So you guess?
No, not guess, but I guess a lot of things come from context. So,
yeah.
only catching certain words.
Yeah.
Like, you might not understand everything, but you catch the main words. And then, as I said, like with the context or with putting those words together, you can generally get the meaning.
I see, yeah. Okay.
But I mean, if you just say 4 words with no sentence structure,
Yeah.
and then of course it's very difficult to understand someone. You know, if I said map, big, buy,
Yeah.
go, you wouldn't know that I want to buy a map to go somewhere. You wouldn't know that. Like, it needs to have some structure to it.
So if learning vocabulary, they need to know verb vocabulary or noun or adjective.
Yeah, I guess if you're a very beginner, start with learning some nouns and then start with learning some verbs.
Yeah.
Then add adjectives.
Adjective. Okay. Mostly nouns.
Nouns and verbs.
I see. Okay. Alright. Maybe it's gonna be the last question.
Sure.
You already talked about this, but is there any idea Japanese people can improve their English?
Any ways to do that well?
Yeah.
I guess ideally find a foreign friend. Ideally. Like, if possible, find someone from China or Korea. It doesn't have to be a native speaker.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're going to talk to each other in English. I think that's great. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're both making mistakes.
Yeah.
And even though he can't maybe correct you, at least you're using your English.
Yeah.
If that's not possible, even make little speeches.
Yeah.
Make little speeches and practice giving a speech.
Speech?
Even in front of your mirror.
Yeah.
Or even in front of your grandma in Japan. Even though she doesn't speak English,
Yeah.
give her the speech and then tell her what you spoke about in Japanese.
Okay.
Like, why not? Right?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, of course, she's not going to be able to tell you, oh, you didn't pronounce that well or you didn't do that well. But of course, it's going to improve your confidence. It's going to show you that you can do it. And then maybe write as much as you can. Every day, write a diary. Write 200 words a day.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, it's hard for you to correct it yourself, but read it again after you write it and see if you wrote anything wrong. See if you got present simple, past simple, and present continuous. And then, if possible, have someone look at that. I know it's hard, but have someone look at it if you can. What other things? Listen to podcasts.
Oh, podcasts, yeah.
Listen to podcasts.
Yeah, now they can use technology. Like
Yes, that's
internet,
right.
Very good, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for helping us.
That's okay, not a problem. I hope it helps.
Yeah, so I'm saying in Japanese.
Sure, please.
Yeah, ending. はい、ということでね、今日ニールさんにね、来てもらいました。彼はね、日本で英語をね、教えていた先生なんで、今回のね、僕との英語の会話でも結構ね、ためになる情報であったりとか、どうやって英語を勉強すれば、日本でもね、自分の英語力を向上させることができるのかっていうところを教えていただきました。皆さんもね、ぜひ一回スピーチ書いてみて、自分のグラマーちょっとチェックしてみて、それをお母さんとか兄弟とか話してみたりすると結構自分のね英語力っていうのは向上するかなと僕個人的にも思います。ということでね、この動画はここまでとなります。最後まで見ていただいてありがとうございます。この動画がいいと思ったらぜひグッドボタンとチャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope you can show up another video.
No worries. No worries.
Alright, so see you next time.
See you, everyone.